Police body cams capture the kind of moments that words can't do justice. Acts of heroism, split-second decisions, and sometimes horrors that defy explanation. Whether it's the chaos of a burning building, eerie encounters in the dead of night, or gut-wrenching moments of tragedy, these cameras record it all, unedited, unfiltered, and impossible to forget. Some footage leaves officers questioning what they just saw. Others prove that even in the face of overwhelming danger, a single person's actions can change everything. And in some cases, it's not just human lives hanging in the balance.
Get the f off me, okay? Trayvon, get away from me! Down. Call somebody, get somebody here!
In Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, Officer Andrew Crabb was heading home after an overnight shift when something unusual caught his attention. Thick black smoke rising from a nearby farm. As he got closer, he heard something even more alarming: the panicked cries of trapped cows. With no time to waste, Crabb pulled into the farm and ran toward the barn. The building was already engulfed in flames, and smoke poured from the structure, choking the air. Several cows were trapped inside a fenced area, their bodies pressed against the metal gate as they struggled to escape. Crabb spotted the chain keeping the gate shut and quickly unlatched it. The cows didn't hesitate. As soon as the gate swung open, they bolted out, stampeding into the open field and away from the fire. Minutes later, firefighters arrived and managed to contain the blaze before it spread further. Thanks to Crabb's quick thinking, the cows survived, escaping just in time. Sometimes police body cams capture heroic rescues. Other times, they record moments that are downright stunning. A quiet Sunday afternoon in Weymouth, Massachusetts turned into something straight out of a video game when police responded to a laundromat for reports of a man acting erratically. Officers tracked him to a nearby convenience store, where they identified him as Jeffrey Yoza. At first, it seemed like a routine encounter, but as soon as police approached, Yoza bolted for his car, locked the doors, and threw it into reverse. Within seconds, he slammed into a police cruiser at full speed, then did it again. Shouts filled the air as officers ordered him to get out of the car, but Yoza had other plans. With his tires screeching, he floored it across the parking lot, smashing into multiple patrol cars before jumping a curb and escaping onto the main road. Dashcam footage captured the chaotic pursuit as Yoza weaved through traffic at dangerous speeds. The chase didn't last long. He lost control and crashed moments later. It took multiple officers to pull him from the wreck and take him into custody. By the time the dust settled, 3 police cruisers were totaled. Yoza faced 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, along with charges of malicious damage to a motor vehicle and disorderly conduct. Despite overwhelming body cam evidence, he entered a not guilty plea and was held without bail. Surviving a crash is one thing, but what if the danger isn't over once the wreck is found? For most people, a missed highway exit is a minor inconvenience. But for Matt Ride, it nearly cost him his life. It was December 20th, 2023, when Ride, a Portage, Indiana resident, took a wrong turn while driving home. Distracted and exhausted, he didn't notice the deer that suddenly appeared in front of him until it was too late. Instinct took over. He swerved, lost control, and crashed through the highway barrier. His truck rolled multiple times, skipped across a creek, and finally came to rest beneath an overpass. Then for 6 excruciating days, he waited for someone to find him. Pinned inside his crushed vehicle, his left leg was trapped, and his right hand and ankle were broken. He had no food, no way to escape, and no one could hear his screams over the roar of the highway above. His only lifeline? Rainwater dripping into the wreckage. Finally, after nearly a week, fisherman Mario Garcia and his son-in-law stumbled upon the wreck while scouting for a fishing spot. At first, they assumed they had found an abandoned vehicle, until they saw movement inside. Matt was alive, but barely. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, using the jaws of life to tear through the mangled truck and free him. He was airlifted to a hospital, where doctors fought to save his limbs. His left leg had to be amputated, but he beat the odds and survived. Despite the ordeal, Matt remains hopeful. He plans to write a book about his experience, and even hopes to run again with a prosthetic. Most people go to a movie theater expecting popcorn, previews, and a quiet night out. But for officers in Bergen County, New Jersey, that wasn't the case on July 15th, 2024. Instead, their night involved a band patron, a physical altercation, and even a bite wound. It all started when Lana Nathan caused a scene at the concession stand after allegedly skipping the line and grabbing a manager. Theater staff had enough and called the police, asking them to remove her from the premises and ban her permanently. But Lana wasn't going anywhere without a fight. When officers approached her outside the theater and politely asked her to leave, she refused, again and again. The officers gave her multiple chances to walk away, warning her she'd be arrested if she didn't comply. She still refused. Then things got physical. The moment the officers tried to escort her out, she lashed out, screaming, struggling, and even biting one of them. It took multiple officers to pin her down and get her into custody, but even as she was loaded into an ambulance, she kept resisting. At the station, Nathan claimed she had no idea why she was arrested. Despite the clear body cam footage showing her assaulting an officer, she maintained that she'd never lay a hand on the police. A grand jury disagreed. Nathan was indicted on aggravated assault charges, and to make matters worse, she was already facing a DUI charge from September. If there's one thing body cam footage proves, it's that officers never know what they're walking into. Hearst, Texas, a quiet city wedged between Fort Worth and Dallas, became the site of absolute chaos on April 7th, 2018. Officers were responding to what seemed like a routine call about a car that had crashed into a house. But what they didn't realize was that the impact had severed a gas line, turning the home into a ticking time bomb. Body cam footage shows officers pulling up to the scene, completely unaware of the imminent danger. The driver had lost control of the vehicle, veering off the road and slamming straight through the wall of a suburban home. From the outside, it looked bad, but what was happening inside was far worse. Just as officers approached the wreckage, boom. The house erupted into a massive explosion. Flames and debris shot into the sky, sending officers flying backward. The sheer force of the blast was captured on multiple body cams. 1 second, officers were walking toward the house, and the next, they were scrambling for cover as the inferno engulfed the structure. Despite the devastation, everyone inside the house survived. The officers immediately sprang into action, rushing toward the wreckage and pulling out 3 trapped residents. They were rushed to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. As for the driver, 35-year-old Alejandro Alvarez, he wasn't injured, but he was immediately arrested for driving without a license. After being processed, he was turned over to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for an immigration-related violation. The house, which had been in the family for decades, was completely destroyed. But in an incredible act of resilience, the family rebuilt it even stronger than before. Whether or not they still use natural gas? That's another question entirely. Some criminals run from the police, others fight, but very few manage to steal a police car in the middle of an arrest. What should have been a routine domestic disturbance call turned into an outright heist, and an officer paid the price for it, literally. In August 2024, a Michigan state trooper responded to a domestic disturbance call and found 35-year-old Courtney Morey crying on the side of the road. She was distressed, but cooperative, at least at first. The officer left to speak with the other person involved, who had visible injuries to his face, but didn't want medical attention. That's when the trooper made the call to place Morey under arrest. The moment the cuffs came out, everything escalated. Morey resisted violently, screaming and thrashing. She bit the officer's arm, sinking her teeth in hard enough to draw blood. Backup arrived, and after a struggle, they managed to restrain her. But that was only the beginning. Since the patrol car lacked a security cage, officers placed Morey in the front passenger seat, strapped her in, and went to return her personal belongings. That was their mistake. The moment the troopers walked away, Morey slipped out of the seatbelt, climbed into the driver's seat, and took off, stealing the very police car meant to transport her to jail. An urgent radio call came through. "We're in pursuit of a patrol car. Suspect is driving westbound." Morey led police on a high-speed chase through the back roads, dodging and weaving as officers closed in. Finally, she veered into a swampy area, where the stolen cruiser got stuck in deep mud. Officers swarmed in and dragged her out, this time making sure she had nowhere to run. Morey was arrested and charged with 4 felonies, including auto theft, assaulting an officer, and resisting arrest. At last check, her case was still working its way through the Michigan Circuit Court. But if she thought she was the only suspect bold enough to take on an entire police department, she was very, very wrong. Some criminals run, some fight, and some take things way too far, biting cops, stealing police cruisers, or turning a routine stop into absolute chaos. But the scariest part? These weren't just isolated incidents. Every day, officers walk into situations that spiral into unimaginable danger in a matter of seconds. And with body cams rolling, the truth is captured in real time, whether you're ready for it or not. If you think this was intense, just wait, because the next video, it's even worse. Click now, if you can handle it.